Well, hello CX fiends, and welcome back to another episode of CXTV. We are here at the World HQ of Trek in Waterloo, Wisconsin for the fourth and final stop of the Trek USCX series. We've got the men on tap next. Bill, what kind of stories am I looking for today?
We have a big one brewing between Brunner and Strohmeyer. So Saturday at Charm City really set the stage for what we're going to see today. So if Strohmeyer sweeps the weekend, he's the champ. If Brunner does, he's the champ. But if it's somewhere in between, then we got a real race for us. So that's for the win. We also have Tyler Clark, who needs to fend off Kerry Werner in his final USCX race weekend. He's looking for that third place, was able to get the better of Tyler last weekend. Behind him, Jules Van Kempen's been going really good. We've been watching Tofik Bashir, Cody Scott in there, and the rest of the Comp Edge crew. So yeah, it should be really exciting. A little warm out here, but you know, better than it was yesterday, and a little bit of a breeze. So hopefully that'll not be too overbearing for our field.
Well, hopefully no more brouhaha for Brunner with the boas, and let's get into the action right now.
Let's do it.
Here we are at the start line of Trek CX Cup at Waterloo, Wisconsin. Despite what it might have said in the introduction, it is hot out here. It was in the 80s. It was humid. It was a bit unpleasant for this race day, but you know that's kind of cross in America, especially at the beginning of the year. Have our full contingent of riders all gridded up, and we are off here in our men's elite race. Kerry Werner taking the whole shot, taking some impetus from his teammate Carolyn Manny, who's been killing it on the whole shots. Werner goes out strong. He's trying to finish out this USCX series on top, and no better way to do it than leading from the gun. But as we say that, we got Andrew Strohmeyer there on the outside coming around. He wants to go to the front fast and first and make it to this flyover. This part that we're on right here, this runway from pit 1 up until the flyover, I think that all of the strong riders use that as a launching pad. It is just a great place to put an attack and see what everybody else has. Oh, and as we say that, down in the back, I believe that looked like Caleb Swartz going down in the back of our field. Local Wisconsinite, now lives out in Montana. As we see the run up for the first time, got a photographer coming through over the course a little late. Andrew Strohmeyer, Brunner, Werner, Jules Van Kempen, Cody Scott, Ben Frederick up there down to this off camber for the first time. This was put in for the World Cup course, and it is a great feature. Super sketchy. It's a lot steeper than it looks here on this shot as they come into the loading dock area of the Trek headquarters, and see the semi trucks in there in the background, bringing your bikes to a local bike shop near you. All right, up and through the wooded section. This is on the opposite side of the secret bar. Strohmeyer and Brunner leading the way with Werner, Van Kempen, Cody Scott still in there. There's Tyler Clark making a nice move by his fellow Canadian. Saw Tofik Bashir in that purple kit coming through as well. Out of the woods and back towards the second flyover. They're underneath that. This is this little rise, this hump that's on here. There you go. That heads towards pit 2. Strohmeyer leading the way with Brunner on his wheel. Werner, Van Kempen, Clark, Scott, Zakrajcek, Frederick, Bashir, and many more all there together. Pace is high, but not so high that the field can't keep up. You saw some splashing water going on there. Because of the heat, they were allowed to splash riders. Usually that's against the rules. It's considered feeding, but if it's above a certain temperature, the officials will allow it, and they did on this day. Through the secret bar, around the little rock wall. There's like 2 rock walls. This is the smaller one. On the other side, there's one that is a ride-run choice for most of the racers. Brunner now out front. Strohmeyer on there. We get to the planks. Brunner up and over. Strohmeyer, Clark, Werner, Van Kempen. It's starting to speed up now. Brunner went to the front and really put the pedal down and continues to do so through Factory Hill. Strohmeyer really the only one able to match that effort. Tyler Clark is there. You can see Factory Hill, it's a much higher line than we've seen in the past. A lot of times that, as Calvin Conway has a little issue there, a lot of times that top fencing is much lower, forcing the riders to that low line, and then you make the right turn, and it's a really hard kick to the top. Not as severe this year. They can really just sort of go at an angle up that side and take a little of the bite out of Factory Hill. Back on pit 1 that we're talking about, this runway here, just watching these riders about to take off. We got Brunner putting in a huge move, and Strohmeyer has no choice except to get on that wheel, because if he doesn't, this one's going to be over early. So Brunner's gone, Strohmeyer's with him. Other side of the flyover, you can see the fall colors in the background. That's always a photographer's favorite shot from right here, getting the riders coming over the flyover with the colors changing in the background. To the run-up again, talked to Anders Strohmeyer before this race. That tree right there that he just went by, the post used to be farther towards that tree, which allowed for the opportunity to get a good head of steam coming down the loading dock and making that turn and riding the run up. You know, it's not like 100% guarantee, but at least it's possible with them moving that the post in more. It really took away any opportunity to try to ride it. So it was just it was 100% run on the run up. No, even Thibaut Ness, if he had shown up, probably wasn't going to be riding it on this day. While I was talking about that, Strohmeyer deciding to take off, putting in the big effort. He's got Brunner on his heels, Clark in second, Brunner in third, Cody Scott there, got Tawfik Bashir. I believe that is Drummond, as Strohmeyer is off and running, and looks like a potential issue for Brunner. He is really dropping back as they come over to the flyover and will head towards pit 2. This is our chasers coming through now, up and over the big mound in the middle of the field towards pit 2. Strohmeyer leading the way. Brunner trying to mitigate the damage done. Not really sure what's going on with Brunner at this point, but he does go into the pits. So Strohmeyer continues, Clark continues. Brunner obviously had an issue with that bike, gets on a new bike, and now he's going to have to play catch up as we have our chasers going through. Looks like Cody Scott leading the way, Kerry Warner on his wheel, the rest of the Comp Edge crew in there. This is farther back, Jules Van Kempen, who was up near the front at the beginning, now in 12th place, got a bloodied knee you might have seen coming through there. So obviously Jules went down somewhere, and that knocked him back farther into the field. So now we got Brunner and Clark chasing. Bigger chase group behind with Warner leading the way. Looks like Cody Scott, Tawfik Bashir behind them. And then Drummond and Zakrajcek bringing up the rear of that chase group. Through Factory Hill, this is a good 1 minute before the finish line. Get to Factory Hill. You got one more flyover. You take a U-turn, and then you're at the finish line. Strohmeyer leading the way. Further back in the group, we're going back to Jules Van Kempen again. He is somebody who has been on the podium recently, so worth checking in on him since he is way farther back than we are used to seeing.
Nice job, Dan.
Ben Frederick up Factory Wall there at Adam Moat in the Donovan Racing kit.
Come on, Sam.
There is Sam Brown racing. I believe he lives closer to Madison than he has in the past with Colorado roots. Strohmeyer through on lap 3 with Brunner and Clark still in pursuit. And it looks like Tawfik Bashir putting on a nice effort to try to get in with the leaders. He is taking, I think that was Drummond he was taking with him. And that was the runway we were talking about, and you could see the effort that Strohmeyer's putting in. He knows that this is it, and so does Brunner. Brunner's left Clark, and he knows that he cannot wait any longer. He's got to chase down Strohmeyer, and he's got to do it now. So there's your gap. You're looking at about 5-6 seconds between those two. Drummond getting by Bashir, with Kerry Warner putting in a move. Kerry Warner getting spicy today. He is out there leading this chase group. Usually a guy to sort of hang on and pick his spots, but really motivated to get out front today for Warner. And you saw Strohmeyer making it to the top of the run-up, and Brunner was right there, just a couple seconds back. Meanwhile, Clark has dropped back into this chase group, which is right behind. A little leg out for Strohmeyer as he makes his way through the off-camber section. Not on clip for Brunner, really nicely done by him. Strohmeyer has to do the balancing act, and oh wow, as we see Drummond coming through there, I believe, with a kick push at high speeds. Dangerous maneuver there on that section. That's an easy way to crash, and he would not be alone if he went down in that off camber. Brunner has almost completed the catch. You can see on pit 2, they are just seconds apart from each other. Meanwhile, Clark going the other direction. He will now be part of this 6-person chase group behind. To the barriers, Strohmeyer up and over. Brunner not a second behind him. So had to switch bikes, lost a couple seconds there, has made it all up in about a lap or so. Here's your big chase group at the barriers, and here we are back at Factory Hill. 1, 2, with a Comp, Edge, and others group behind. Come to lap 4, and we've got to change. Brunner now in front of Strohmeyer and goes down. He made that move, got in front of Strohmeyer as soon as he did. That was a really tough section. It's not wet. It's dry in that corner going into pit 1. But he's Brunner is not alone. A lot of people getting that wrong and going down there. It might be a little uneven ground that the wheel sort of gets stuck in and forces riders down. But that allows Strohmeyer, who looked like he was in a little bit of a trouble, to get back onto Brunner's wheel and make the pass. When you have the opportunity to catch up, especially after a crash, you got to go in cyclocross, and that's exactly what Strohmeyer does and gets out into front. Nice move on the front here by, I'm going to say this is Drummond. Looking really good with Clark on his wheel. Yeah, there's the Krychek on the end of that move. So we got Drummond, Clark, Warner, your top 3 of the chase. Back at the front, it is a familiar scene that we've seen throughout the USCX series with Brunner and Strohmeyer. But Strohmeyer looking like he was in a little bit of trouble coming up off of the run-up and losing a couple seconds, and boom, right away. This is not 30 seconds after that run-up. They went down through the off-camber, and then they have to climb back up to the top of the course, and Strohmeyer is in trouble with Brunner just taking off in this section. This is a good, if you have the power here, this is just a sustained power climb up to the top. You can see all of your chasers coming there. Is the Krychek hurting a little bit more? And look at this. He was in 12th place before. Jules Van Kempen has just been hunting down that chase group, and now he is about to integrate himself into the group looking for 3rd place. That's from 12th to going for the fight for 3rd for Van Kempen. Just amazing comeback for him if he's able to continue into the group. He's about a second or 2 off now. Strohmeyer really looks like the fight has gone out. Warner leading the way. Clark, Drummond, Scott, Bashir, Zakrychek. Let's check and see where Jules Van Kempen is, and there he is. So they are not even to the end of pit 2, and Van Kempen just biding his time, trying to get back. That's the hardest thing because he can see them all there. He knew he was way far back, maybe even out of this race. You know, the type of place where you can just quit and be done with it. You're so far back, but he was able to just crawl his way back in, and now it's the toughest part because he sees them out there, and now he has to catch them. All right, so here we got Warner leading this group. Clark on his wheel. Drummond actually moves up into second. There's Cody Scott, Tofik Bashir, tail gunning up and over the planks all together. Drummond, another strong move. He has just been coming around, you know, from the first round of USCX where he really wasn't in the fight until now. He's like a totally different rider, and he is dictating the chase group. There's Jules Van Kempen now has made his way in there ahead of Zakrajcek. We got Brunner coming up past pit 1. Strohmeyer hasn't even made it to pit 1 yet. That gap is just going out. Brunner is on a day right now. Strohmeyer looks like he is suffering. Drummond still leading the charge, and look at Jules Van Kempen, not content just to sit in that pack. He was second to last and just made up 2 more spots coming up and over. Just amazing effort to get back into that group and still have the fight to go to the front of it. Here we see Strohmeyer top of the run-up. And this chase group now starting to catch Strohmeyer as well. They caught Clark a couple laps ago. Now they're looking to incorporate Strohmeyer into their numbers as well. Here we come up through. All right, you can see the angle here. Oh, so we that was not the first time. Somebody has crashed into that camera a couple times, so we got knocked over to the side. So we had to be creative. It was still filming, but we just had to get a little creative on showing you that view, and that's what we came up with. That's Bodie's doing right there. Editing magic. Get to see Brunner again. You know, as I've here we go. Strohmeyer coming in for a bike. It's going to change the bike. I suspect, looking at this, that nothing wrong with the bike, but such a hot day. Andrew Strohmeyer is a guy who struggles with the heat, and I'll bet, went into the pit to change a bike to get a water bottle. That looked like. And that's a legal maneuver as long as you change bikes. If you have a bottle rack on your bike and there's a fresh bottle in there, that's a perfectly legal move. Didn't seem to lose much time on there, but just to get some fluids on board, especially in a day like this where it's starting to get hot. His teammate, Tofik Bashir, not coming in for water. He has had a rough day of it, going down a couple times. I think he's punishing those bikes some. Probably needed some adjustments on that one. Back on it with a fresh bottle of water. There's Strohmeyer coming through. Tyler Clark now out front. And this chase group is down to 3 with Clark, Drummond, and Van Kempen in there. And Van Kempen has stuck while Werner and Scott have dropped. And also Zakrajcek dropping off the group. Tofik Bashir trying to fight his way back into the group. After you can see the dirt on the side, you know, obviously going down somewhere, but not giving up and trying to get back into the fight on to that chase. Up and over the barriers, again, that's kind of the exciting group. Actually, we got 2 exciting groups here. We got Werner and Scott behind. We got Bashir and Zakrajcek fighting it out, and then out front, really, nice move by Tofik Bashir there going by. And this is the group that we're interested in. And look at that, we got Jules Van Kempen with 4 laps to go dictating the chase. He's not content with just hanging out and looking for those places. He wants to track down the leaders, and he may be able to do that. Just not the Andrew Strohmeyer we're used to seeing. You can see how far behind he is. He hasn't even gotten down to the loading dock yet. Brunner's already coming up on the other side up the run-up. And Jules Van Kempen is dropping Tyler Clark. Ryan Drummond. Incredible effort by Van Kempen. These other two riders just trying to stay in his wheel. Yeah, we're not sure what happened to him early. Obviously went down, but was on a good day and just continuing to go. It's very similar to what we were looking at with Brunner out front. Had to change the bike early, got behind, had a little bit of a bobble and went down before pit one, fell behind. Despite that, was able to not lose any momentum, not lose any confidence, get right back into the fight, and just take off. And now there he is with a huge lead. Under 4 laps to go, and Brunner is just cruising. Behind, we got Strohmeyer still staying in it, but definitely struggling. And, wow, Jules Van Kempen now only a couple seconds behind Andrew Strohmeyer. This is all new ground. Uncharted waters for Jules Van Kempen, and as he starts tracking down the top 2 riders in North America. Drummond's still up there. What is this? Is Cody Scott coming through the barriers. He's left Kerry Werner now. Kerry Werner, our early leader, whole shot winner, now just trying to hang on. That was Tom Scott, Marion student, British citizen. Tom Scott racing. Haven't seen a lot of him, but when he shows up, he is strong. 3 laps to go. As Van Kempen on his own, you can look at that gap. That's Strohmeyer out front, not 5 seconds back is Van Kempen. This would be a career day for Jules Van Kempen if he can track down the national champion. Drummond and Clark still going at it. That duo has been battling for a while. This guy out front hasn't been battling. Well, he battled some things early, and now it's just smooth sailing since those little hiccups at the beginning of the race. And Jules Van Kempen has made contact with Andrew Strohmeyer as they make it to these steps. Original feature on the Trek Cup course, one of the classics. Through the good late afternoon light go our second and third riders. Here they are on the climb. And this is almost a recovery spot for Van Kempen. He has worked so hard just to catch everyone this race. And he's now on Strohmeyer's wheel and is almost able just to hang out there, something that just would have been unheard of for Van Kempen. I mean, even earlier in this season, but definitely the years to go. He's raced Strohmeyer a ton, but never been this close to him in a race this far into it and close to the finish with these last couple laps coming up. Okay, Cody Scott has now made contact with this group. So we got 2 comp edge riders. We got Drummond and then Clark in the middle, and then Scott in the third position, and now they've switched. Now Cody Scott has gone to the front. Clark is in second. Drummond in third. Comp edge boys just working over Tyler Clark in this one. 2 laps to go, and there goes Brunner, and here comes the duo we're keeping a close eye on. Look at Jules Van Kempen. He is just aching to go, and there he is up and over the flyover. Makes the pass, coming up that runway section we were talking about from pit 1 to the flyover. That's where moves are made, and that's exactly what Van Kempen did. He gets to the run up, and he is just motoring much faster pace than Strohmeyer on the run up. That is really where he's got the gap, and you can see it there. It doesn't look like much when they're doing it on the run, but the result is just stark once they make it to the top of that run up, and you can see the gap that's already formed. Van Kempen, Strohmeyer in the heat, not to make any excuses for him, does have issues, has had breathing issues before when it gets too hot. That may be what's going on with him now, but that's not to take anything away from Van Kempen, who is just riding one of the best races. I was like, oh, there we go, shoulder to shoulder. Little Donnybrook in the corner. Going to be throwing the gloves down for those two Canadians if this gets any hotter. Good battle going on between Cody Scott and Tyler Clark. Strohmeyer now in third place. Clark now attacking Scott as they come up. 55 minutes on the clock. We have to be down to our last lap. Onto the run-up. Clark looks like he's got a second, third, maybe fourth wind here and is pushing the pace. Scott doing all of it. Oh, and even the look back. That's never a good sign. You're trying to go for those positions ahead, but you want to make sure no one's going to catch you. Up and over the planks for Brunner. A couple seconds later, maybe a little more than that. Looked like a cut in the filming. We got Jules Van Kempen, and there it is. There is your winner. Not in any doubt, despite the crash, despite the bike issue, showing off the track. It's come back home, that bike, to the headquarters. We got Cody Scott, Tyler Clark. They are going to be battling it out for the wide-angle podium. We got Strohmeyer will have been in third. Van Kempen will have been in second. In fact, there he is, Jules Van Kempen. What a race. What a race on day one of the Trek CX Cup. The 7th round of the Trek USCX series. Eric Brunner's your champ. Jules Van Kempen just raced out of his mind. Strohmeyer ends up third. What that's going to do for us is it puts that much more importance on tomorrow as we see our final podium. That first step and that third step, they are now tied, all even after 7 rounds of the USCX, which means that Sunday's race, the C2, it's going to come down, if it comes down to those two, well, it will come down to those two, and one of them is going to take away the series finale, but it's really whoever comes out ahead tomorrow.
Eric, this is going to be a philosophical question for you. I was thinking about this. Can you have a flat tire, crash, and still consider it a perfect race?
Well, they told me I didn't actually have a flat, so well I guess we'll never know.
So but it's, I mean, you dropped back a little bit.
I did. I had my chain kind of come off. It was kind of my fault. Like I think I backpedaled going into the run up. But anyway, to actually answer the question, I would say so, because I mean I think the equipment is part of it, but I think that I don't know. It's more about what you do in response to some of that stuff. And yeah, the crash was just, I don't even know if I'd did anything much differently that lap, or if I just hit a different spot.
You weren't the only one to like slide out there. Yeah, and no, because you right before that you put in this big attack.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not super focused. You know, I find it hard to, I mean, unsurprisingly, to focus when you're going that hard. And so, you know, some days I really struggle with going hard and handling at the same time. But yeah, I think probably from an execution standpoint and probably from a mental standpoint, today was my best race of the season so far. So yeah, I mean, I can be happy with it.
Definitely. I mean, look flawless. Even if you're going to crash, doing it right in front of pit one is like the way to go, basically. And you didn't even switch bikes. You just got up and went, right?
Yeah, no, bike was fine.
Yeah. So it looked like the coming from pit one to the flyover definitely was where you were strongest. Just curious if there are any other parts of the course that worked to your advantage.
That was my favorite part of the course. I think the part that I was riding the best. I like a course where I can go a little more on-off. And so this course is definitely like that, with some big pedaling sections and then some recovery. And then I think there was the section from kind of the second flyover up to the barriers, and that was a nice pedal as well. And I like the dry, dusty conditions. I think that's maybe something that people don't give me credit for, being from Colorado, and I started to notice that in the World Cup here, that I was as maybe the one place where I was riding better than some of the Europeans.
Interestingly, my next question was going to be, I had something floated to me today that your technical skills are better than Strohmeyer in the dusty and dirty versus wet conditions, and that you really flourish in that. And I think that's what we saw Charm City, like in that off camber where it's slippery because it's dusty, and that seems to be, just like you put it much better than I did. That seems to be one of your strengths and something that you should get credit for.
Sure, thank you. At least relatively speaking, and I think to me it's a little more predictable. I don't know. I train on a lot of dirt roads, and of course, just the cyclocross training that I do is kind of that way as well.
Last week, you were pretty adamant on how you're just out here taking it race by race, and the overall really doesn't matter. It's tied now. So you and Strohmeyer are absolutely even. It all comes down to tomorrow. I know that doesn't necessarily mean anything for you day to day. It's exciting for us. So it's nice that this turned out this way, because it's been a good narrative to follow, and it's fun to have two guys really just going as hard as they can race after race. So we're really expecting a fun one again tomorrow.
Well, I want to win the overall, so try not to think about it too much, but I do want to win. So
yeah, well, tomorrow it all comes together. It is just one race.
I want to win the race and the overall. So. Pretty simple.
Congratulations today. Just, as I said, flawless race today, and good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.